And with the question coming up in the chat also right away here about differences between the SNES and NES version, they'll come up, and we'll definitely point them out as they come up. But for the most part, the games feel very, very similar.
So they are underway. Ben grabbing his power up in 1-1, so he looks like he's going to grab power up in 1-1 and 1-2. Kosmic, meanwhile, powering right through 1-1. We'll head into 1-2. I expect him to do all the fast strategies. Go for what we call the tight jump there with the Koopa and Goomba section. I expect he'll go for the pipe jumps in 1-2. And then we'll see what kind of strategy he uses, whether he goes small or big fire Mario.
Yeah, so the big thing about 1-2 is that if you don't take fire right away, Kosmic on the left is about to do a really tough jump here, right there. It looked like he pressed left. He took a little bit of safety and pressed left during that jump, but then hitting those pipe jumps as well. All these maneuvers are all super, super advanced and very, very easy to mess up, which is why a lot of racers will opt to just take the power-ups as early as possible.
And Ben over on the right side with a clean 1-2. One of the first things you'll notice in terms of a difference between the All-Stars and the regular version, that section there where Ben had to shoot 2 of the piranha plants, their hitboxes are not as forgiving. So if you'll see, sometimes it'll look like Kosmic on the left will jump it almost will look like he's jumping through the piranha plants, but it's just because the piranha plants in the NES version have a very tiny hitbox. And the All-Stars version, the hitbox is a little more complete, and it looks like if you really do hit the sprite that you kill the piranha plant. You don't really go through them, so to speak. And also, none of the piranha plants are despawned in the SNES, the All-Stars version. So Kosmic right here does get the big fire, so he is going big fire instead of small fire. We were waiting right there for 1-4 to see the difference. So he's going to be playing as big fire, so both of our runners going to be big fire, and now we get to see how they shake out relative to each other, because both of their strategies are already completed as far as getting their power-ups.
Now here's coming up is another big difference between All-Stars and NES. This is the main thing that actually makes the All-Stars version technically slower, is that after a castle is complete, Ben actually has to wait for the time to count down now, just like it does on every level. But on the NES version, it doesn't do this for castles, and this version does, so that takes a few extra seconds there. And now you were talking about piranha plant hitboxes, and that is one of the main differences between the two games. One thing I wanted to point out is the double-edged sword of it, though, where the smaller hitboxes on piranha plants on the NES version can actually cause it to be a little tougher to shoot them with fireballs at times. You can easily shoot over a piranha plant or even bounce a fireball over a piranha plant in the NES version.
Absolutely. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. Certainly, like I was saying, you can jump almost through them, not exactly through them, but what looks like through their teeth in the NES version. But absolutely, it's much easier to miss shooting them as well. So we are now headed into 2-2, our first water level, and similar here, you'll see that the octopuses, the bloopers as they're called, will have a little bit more of a complete hitbox on the SNES version as well. So kind of a similar thing, a little bit easier to shoot them, but also a little bit easier to get hit by them. Just another difference there. And both of them nicely so far through the water section. One of the things that you can do if you are Big Mario in a water section is you can do a duck swim on the ground, and that'll change your hitbox from a big hitbox to a small Mario hitbox. Basically, only the bottom half of Mario will have a hitbox. Neither of these runners chose to do that. They chose to use their fireballs to clear out enemies instead, but that is one option that runners have.
And a minor difference there is you may have noticed that the pipe at the end of that level on the All-Stars version had a brick over it that's missing in the NES version. Hopefully we won't have to talk about why that is.
Yeah, exactly. Occasionally, once in a blue moon, somebody may or may not have soft locked in the NES version because of that.
So on the right here on Ben's screen, you'll notice another weird thing about the Japanese version of All-Stars. Mario, it didn't happen that time. For some reason, I thought on 2-3, you get the right side of the flagpole if you hit the power-up block.
Oh, Kosmic taking a hit.
Yikes, the Bowser shot was pretty poorly placed there, but he spares no frames for hesitation there, jumping over the Bowser to work through that as well as possible.
Another thing here that's different is the Potaboos in the All-Stars version always go all the way up, whereas in the NES version, they're of variable height. So you won't know the height, and Kosmic takes a death. So Ben will always know that the Potaboos will go very high, and so he was able to go under them. Kosmic, meanwhile, took a death in 3-1, and we are right back to almost a neck-and-neck race. Of course, Ben being a little bit behind, but Kosmic still needs to power up twice, so that'll close the gap a little bit when that does happen.
Yeah, a big deal there was the fact that with Kosmic having powered down, I mean, he was taking 3-1 as fast as possible, doing pipe jumps and such. A big thing about this game is that you don't technically have to slow down very much if you're small, if you want to do pipe jumps and all that, but they're very, very tricky to pull off and can very easily have some accidents happen. Oh, Ben accidentally just bounced a couple fireballs over a Goomba there and ended up running into it, so he's powered down as well. So we'll see how both of them handle it. Kosmic is doing a lot of just running around small. He's probably waiting for the fastest power-ups as possible to pick up. Meanwhile, Ben opted to get back to Big Mario as quickly as possible, which I respect in a race.
Yep. And I think Kosmic, the 3-1 power-up grabs are pretty slow. You can get the 3-2-1 pretty quickly, but it is a little bit difficult. So I think he's going to opt for 3-3 and 3-4. No, he might just go small the rest of the way. I'm not sure. But very interesting choice by Kosmic to go small only. You can grab that 3-3 power up pretty quickly, and then 3-4, it's advantageous to get the power up there as well, because then you can get a fire kill on Bowser, and it's much quicker to get a fire kill on Bowser, because if you kill him with fire, as soon as you touch the axe, you walk over to complete the level and hang out with Toad there. Whereas if you don't fire kill Bowser and you touch the axe, you have to wait for the bridge to collapse, Bowser to fall in the lava. All that animation costs about 3 seconds. So Kosmic choosing to play it small only at this point. Very interesting decision.
Yes, and the bridge collapsing, I don't know if you mentioned explicitly that it is basically the prime reason that running the game with firepower is the fastest way.
Absolutely. So, the world record and everything like that, they all include fire because it'll save time in the long run even though it costs you time to grab power-ups, it'll save you time in the long run to do all those fire kills on Bowser.
Yep. Now, one very small... okay, I'm sorry. Kosmic swag. He's jumping over these plants and pipe jumping.
He's going to go FPG, isn't he? Here it is. Full flagpole glitch.
Nice! Oh, man. So we get some tricks. That's exciting. One very minor detail I wanted to point out also that kind of closes the gap a little bit further on which version is technically faster is in All-Stars, on the Japanese version specifically, the Super Mario Collection, which Ben is playing, sometimes if you do certain things in certain levels, the Mario will grab the flagpole on the right side instead of the left, which then when he reaches the bottom of the flagpole, he doesn't have to spend any time turning around before dropping off of it. And that can save 21 frames here and there that you don't get on the NES version.
Absolutely. And that's what the All-Stars world record uses as well, as that version, so that you do get those right sides of the flagpole. We'll see if Ben does it here. He doesn't go. Oh, there it goes. In 4-1, it can happen. So that right there saves time versus if you were to just be on the left side, as you mentioned, then the animation turns him around. He has to walk off the pole. A lot faster to do it this way. Kosmic, meanwhile, sticking with his small fire in 4-3. He's going to go for what we call the sky butt. It's sky boots if you're big, it's sky butt if you're small. And that's where Mario will be 1 pixel above the flagpole. I couldn't quite see. It looked like he got it there. And that saves like 2 or 3 frames versus if you were resting on the block there. And that's enough to save an extra frame rule. So Kosmic got that extra frame rule save. It requires not slowing down through the level and jumping at a very specific spot so that you don't land exactly on that block. And that 1 extra pixel will let Mario accelerate by 2 or 3 extra frames to save that extra frame rule.
Yeah, one thing... if you're not familiar with Mario and you don't know what frame rules are, basically in Mario talk, sometimes saving 1 or 2 frames doesn't actually make any difference literally, and sometimes it makes a difference of 21 frames, depending on various things.
Yeah, exactly. So the game checks for the level completion every 21 frames. So as long as you finish in the same 21 frame window, you have the exact same time for that level, as long as you finish it anywhere in that window.
Yeah, depending on whether you've caught the bus.
Right. Shoutouts to Darbian.
Now, one thing I only just noticed, like yesterday or maybe the day before, is that in level 4-3 the flagpole is orange, and then in level 5-1 the flagpole is white, and I think it is in 5-2 as well. And I realized that the flagpole is using the palette of the environment. Normally it's green because of the trees. 4-3 it's orange because of the mushrooms, and in these levels it's white because of the white trees. It's crazy.
Absolutely, it is crazy. So we see Ben completing 4-4. It was our first maze level, but these runners have no issue with the maze, and especially in 4-4, they know where they're going. But for newer players who may not know the maze, or casual players, they had to pick and choose the direction to go, and so it could trip you up if you're just kind of a casual player of this game. These speedrunners know exactly where they're going. Both these runners now in World 5, which is a very treacherous world, especially 5-3 here. You have these bullet bills that fire in different places, and Kosmic doing a wonderful job of avoiding them. They're completely random, the heights that they are to Kosmic. He knows the timing of them, but he doesn't know the height of them because he doesn't know what frame rule he's on. So the bullet bills have a set pattern as long as you always get there at the same time. But because Kosmic took a death and lost some power-ups, he didn't know what the pattern was going to be. So he's just reacting, and did a very good job reacting there.
Yeah, one thing about this game, as far as when you talk about what frame rule a player is on, hang on, I swear Ben just ran straight through a piranha plant.
Yeah, he was
really
using
weird.
his iframes from getting hit.
Oh, okay. And then the capture is probably 30 FPS, so we didn't see the blinking. Got it. All right, that freaked me out.
I saw the same thing too, and I had that same moment, and I was like, oh, it must be iframe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, that completely threw off what I was saying. Oh, right. If you don't know, with what we're talking about, with what frame rule a runner is on, the deal is that all of the game's RNG, or enemy behaviors, they're all frame dependent as far as when they spawn in. But because of the frame rule in the 21 frame bus that we're talking about catching, you are pretty much always lining up on the same ones each run, which means if you know how your run is paced, you can start to, at the very high level or low level, depending on your lingo, you can start to predict how things do.
Kosmic in 6-2 with Small Mario is definitely the most difficult level with Small Mario, and he nailed every single pipe jump. Perfect 342 on the timer. That is some incredible skill right there.
Yeah, that was excellent.
And again, here's the advantage of the All-Stars version. Ben knew those potaboos were going to go very high, so he was able to just quickly jump between them. On the NES version, sometimes you can get a really low potaboo, and if you try to do those quick jumps, you'll get hit regardless of, even if you do the very smallest possible jump under them, they'll still hit you. So again, that's one of the differences between the NES and the All-Stars version. Kosmic now will head into 6-4, which is a repeat of 1-4, but it's got potaboos, which in the NES version will be a variable height, has many more fire bars. Bowser also, for the first time, will start throwing hammers.
And we'll see this intro here that he does, where he jumps under that first potaboo. And if you do that very quickly, what that does is it kind of makes the rest of these fire bars spawn in a very favorable pattern for you. While if you wait for it, they tend to get in your way a lot more.
And Bowser cooperated. He jumped straight forward, and when Bowser jumps forward, you can run right under him without any fear of getting hit by him or his hammers. So we love to see forward Bowser when we are small only.
Oh, Ben takes a hit from 6-2. So we were talking about 6-2 on the NES version. In the All-Stars version, because of those larger hitboxes, it is much, much harder even to pull off any pipe jumps should you choose. And on top of that as well, the other thing is that on the All-Stars version, the despawning of several plants doesn't happen like it does on NES. So you basically see a piranha plant out of every single pipe.
Yep. Yeah, that is a very difficult thing in 6-2, especially if you lose fire in the All-Stars version, which Ben did. But you saw him grab the star there, which I think was a really smart strategy.
Yes.
Grab that star, and then you can make it all the way to the end of the level once you grab that star. It'll last all the way to the castle even. And on the NES version, you get a cool sound glitch if you end up with a star power as you're entering the castle.
Yep. Yeah, it starts playing the overworld theme again instead of the fanfare.
Yeah. All right, Kosmic in 7-2. It's a repeat of 2-2, but with more bloopers. I believe the cheeps are about the same number. There may be a little bit more, but I know there's more bloopers, and we have to watch out for the bad blooper here. Kosmic just avoiding the bad blooper.
Yeah, very, very tricky blooper at the end. It takes a lot of time to be able to line that up visually, to know, oh, I've got literally 1 pixel of space here if I go down. And then with 7-2 being a repeat of 2-2, 7-3 then is a repeat of 2-3 with the cheeps, except now there are Koopas walking around the bridges. And what's particularly tricky about it is that a lot of the time the cheeps like to spawn just below the Koopas and actually turn them around as they go up. And that can cause you to, if you're trying to jump over a Koopa, you can often accidentally land on one because it turned around and bounced straight into a pit. So you got to keep a sharp eye out for that.
Yep, they're just precariously placed enough that if they turn around and you end up bopping them, you'll almost surely end up in the pit. So a little bit of a tricky coding or game design. I don't know if that was intentional game design, but it's very tricky anyway.
For sure.
So Kosmic is in 7-4, another one of our maze levels. Gets another forward Bowser, man. These Bowsers have been very favorable for him, but that is another maze level. So you saw him, he had to go on the bottom, middle, top in the first section, and then go to the top, middle, top for the second section of the maze. In the All-Stars version, which you'll see when Ben comes in 7-4, eventually gets there, there is a dinging sound to let you know that you actually took the correct path. That sound does not exist on the NES version, so another difference there.
Yeah, and you were talking about how in a casual run it's easy to get tripped up by those mazes, while the speedrunners will, for sure know exactly which paths to take. However, in 7-4, it's kind of easy to accidentally bump your Mario and get their X position on the screen messed up a little bit, which can throw off those checks and actually make you loop the castle when you're not even intended to. 200, a perfect 8-1 by Kosmic, small only, by the way. That's pretty excellent.
Look at those any percent strategies. And of course, World 8, we should mention, there are no checkpoints. So if you die at any point in World 8 in any of the levels, you go back to the beginning of that level. So if Kosmic were to die at the end of 8-2, hypothetically speaking, he has to go back to the beginning of 8-2. I think obviously with Kosmic being the world record holder in Warpless, we should mention he was the first ever to get a 455 in any percent as well. So he's very, very familiar with World 8 any percent strategies, because you play all of World 8 when you play the any percent. So the version, or what we say any percent, is basically with warps in this game. So we're doing a warpless tournament, but with warps you also play all of World 8.
Yep. And right. So in any percent, and that means that in any percent you also play small strats. So specifically World 8 small strats is something Kosmic is very experienced with.
Oh, Kosmic decided to take the bottom route there. That didn't quite work out for him, but
he handled it though. He even gave one of those bros a little bit of sass.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so Ben took a hit at the end of a 7-2, which is unfortunate since there aren't any power-ups. Well, there's one power-up in 7-3, and the next one isn't until 8-2. So he's going to have to slow down in 8-1 quite a bit without having firepower.
Yeah, he won't be able to, unlikely to do those pipe jumps in 8-1 because of the All-Stars version. It's just not worth it. So take the safe strategies in 8-1 and slow down. Kosmic, meanwhile, gets the 1 frame backward wall jump. Is he going to do a fast accel? He does not. You can do what's called a fast acceleration out of that pipe there, but
He got a mean cheap there to pop up under his feet in that room, which caused him to not be able to jump up onto the pipe. I seem to remember Darbian losing a world record to that happening one time.
Yeah, I think so. And Kosmic now coming into the final room. We'll see if he challenges this Potaboo here.
He does not, takes it safe.
And Bowser's
forward jumping Bowser. And Kosmic on the clock, 1938 for his run. Just a phenomenal race time. So difficult to compete with. Ben is on a great run right now, but that is just such a difficult thing to compete with.
Yeah, certainly. Ben on a very good run. I don't know if it's quite PB pace, but he's certainly playing very well right now into 826 live. So I think this is still deathless as far as I could tell.
Yeah, I don't recall any deaths from Ben. Just a couple power downs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now we'll see if he gets his firepower back here. Oh no! With the cannon!
The troll bill, unfortunate. And takes a death to that piranha plant right there. So that is his first death of the race there. Unfortunate there for him. But looks like Kosmic is maybe about to join us, so that would be pretty cool.
And Ben back under the mushroom for this time the safety shroom, and if he's able to carry this all the way through the level, he will be able to fire up relatively early in 8-3. But even without that, this particular section of the game right now is, I'd say a lot of people would say, the most treacherous in the whole game. So it is good to just have some safety there as well.
And welcome, Kosmic, to the chat. We'll try to commentate on Ben and also chat with Kosmic here a little bit. Congratulations on your race, Kosmic. How'd it go for you?
Thanks.
The safety shroom, and
I wanted to play the whole thing big fire, but
he will be able to fire up relatively
didn't jump fast enough over
in
fireball in 2-4, and then
but even without that, this particular section of the game right now is. I'd say a lot of people would say the most treacherous in the whole game. So it is
Ben, meanwhile, grabbing Fire Flower and then losing it to the Hammer Brothers there in 8-3. We'll see. He's got some iframes right now, but these last couple bros can be tricky. And also, he does, unfortunately, take a death there in 8-3. So, yeah, you decided to go Small Mario only. So, talk about, Kosmic, maybe talk about some of the subtle differences that people might not know about between Small Mario and, any kind of Fire Mario.
The biggest thing really is that you can't kill piranha plants.
All right, there we go. We got the echo situation taken care of. And Kosmic will be back in here once that's done. So Ben is finishing up 8-3 here. Excellent work getting back the way through that. And he'll be entering the final level there. So looking excellent. He gets a few fireworks as well to celebrate the excellent 8-3.
And now Ben making his way into 8-4. Pretty much the same thing going on here as in the NES version, except that piranha plant right there, it despawns on the NES version, but in the SNES version, it does not despawn. So I shouldn't say it despawns. It's there, and then it suddenly disappears because of the way the game handles the maze in 8-4. But on the All-Stars version, that plant is always there. So now Ben heading into the water section in 8-4.
All right, and this water section is notoriously difficult to do big also. Lots of people have lots of practice getting through here small, but when you're big and you have to get through that little choke point with that spinning fire bar, it is just very, very tough. And here we have Ben. Not quite as nice of a Bowser, but he gets right past it, looking excellent. And Ben finishes with a 23:38 on the timer.
Very nicely done.
And with the echo solved, Kosmic, hello again. How are you doing?
Doing good.
So I think we were talking there about the differences between small and Fire Mario. So small regular Mario, and then Fire, whether it's small or big Fire. But yeah, as you were saying, you can't really shoot the piranha plants out of the way. So especially 6-2, you went for all the pipe jumps and nailed them perfectly. Any other situations besides just 6-2 where you end up going for a few extra pipe jumps?
Yeah, so there's really like two main things with Small Mario is the levels actually get harder because you have to do pipe jumps. Like outside of 6-2, there's like 3-1 and 5-1 and a few levels like that where you got to do pipe jumps. But then it's really not the best way to play because it's less guaranteed. Like you can get Hammer Bros in your way. You lose time to like 6-4 and 7-4 Bowser if they don't give you a good pattern, stuff like that. And also, like you have to work harder and you get no reward. Like you lose time, so it's really not the best.
For sure, it was really, really exciting to see though the pipe jumps in 6-2, like Takate mentioned, but also in 8-1, just the perfect 200 on the timer ending. Excellent show.
Yeah, I mean, I played with Small Mario for years. It's like what I grew up on in Mario speedrunning. So every now and then I just feel like going for it because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, excellent, and ended up working out. I mean, 1938 is just an excellent race time. So congrats on that, and for moving on to the next round.
Thanks.
Yeah, so you're going to be playing the winner of Alden versus I'm Dangerous. Of course, two of the younger but very talented speedrunners in the Mario community. Any thoughts on that matchup, and do you have a preference of facing one or the other, or what do you think?
Last tournament, if I like really focused, I could pull off like 19-1Xs, and there was only like Supersonic that would get a time back then that could touch that. But now, like, I feel like I could just lose every single match. Like everyone can put up a time like that. So either one wins. I'm nervous either way.
There you go. So that they'll be playing each other tomorrow evening, and then Ben is going to head to the second chance bracket, and will actually play the person that loses that matchup. So Ben is about a minute away from interviewing with us. Any thoughts on just? As you mentioned, Kosmic, there's so many people that can just put up a crazy time now. Any thoughts on this tournament as a whole yet? I don't know if you've been following the results, but yeah, any thoughts on this tournament as a whole so far?
I haven't seen the Japanese players play in a long time. I know in general, their strengths seem to be that they were very consistent, and so they've done very well in tournaments in the past. But now, like, the people I'm familiar with have all gotten a lot better, and the Japanese players are like a mystery to me. Maybe they have too, so that's what I'm looking forward to finding out.
Yeah, one thing I can say for sure between this tournament and last year's tournament is that it seems like the skill level has really gone up. I mean, last year was great, but this year I'm really seeing a lot more sub-20s in races.
Yeah. I saw a race result the other day, and it was like everyone that finished, there was like 5 sub-20s. I was like, what? This is so different than last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
That comment about the Japanese players, I absolutely agree. Last year's tournament, 3 of the top 4 were the Japanese crew, and it was very impressive.
Yeah, they really cleaned up.
In a way, it was almost predictable, and I think this year we're going to see some really good matches, as we've already seen. GG Kosmic, it was really good.
Good game.
Blackpool Glitch, did I hear that right?
You did. He got that 4-1 FPG.
Nice. Yeah, that run was pretty good for All Stars up until I probably lost PB potential at 7-2. After that point, I think I could have still maybe PB'd, but it wasn't likely. So
yeah, it was.
I think 3 deaths in World 8, starting in 8-2.
Yeah, it was looking really great until you got to, the spot that everyone knows what we're talking about in 8-2, where you took your first death.
It wasn't so much commentator's curse. It was just a really awesome match, and I was a little bit distracted at that point, but it didn't matter because it was GG. But yeah, World 8 is usually something I'm pretty good at. It's tough, but it's the one I've played most. So I wasn't really disappointed, but it's normally World 8 where I get in the comfort zone and other people might panic. But obviously Cosmic World 8 is your speciality. specialty.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of runners would echo a similar sentiment there, where kind of World 5 is sort of like the actual most difficult in a run, or at least ends the most runs. I think for a lot of people, World 6 and 7 are very, very tough. And once you get to 8, I mean, it's hard. There's that spot in 8 too, but I think it is almost kind of a relief. It might even be just the fact that 8-1 is kind of a nice breather.
Yeah, it was just a lot of fun. Obviously, it was my choice to use the Super Famicom version, or the All Stars collection. Sorry, the Super Mario collection. Yeah, like every version in every different game, it's got 4 or 5 different names. Super Mario All Stars. I was considering plus Super Mario World, but it's lower, I think, in ways. It's all weird. I don't do the science.
Oh sure, yeah. I haven't heard that, but yeah, I'm not super well versed in that.
This version is fastest for all 4 and all 5 in Super Mario All Stars. I guess Rupert could correct the record if that's untrue, but I think my understanding is correct. And he had actually mentioned possibly doing an any percent all 4 or all 5 tournament or event at some point. So if that happens, I'm looking forward to that. Kosmic probably will do very well if it's anything to do with SMB1.
Yeah, that would be very, very exciting.
So, Ben, one final thing here. This is, of course, your second race of the tournament. You played TJK in the first round, and then you played Kosmic. So now you head to the second chance bracket. So far, your times have been very consistent. You had a 23:26 SRL in the first race and a 23:36 SRL in this race. Obviously, I guess you're looking to improve upon that in the next round, right?
Yeah, hopefully. I'm looking for a 21 or just a 20. I don't know. I know I can do it, but it's between Lull and I'm Dangerous, right? I think.
Yeah, Lull XD, which is also he's mainly known as Alden Speedruns, but yeah, between those two.
Okay, cool. Well, I look forward to it.
Yeah, and we look forward to seeing it, and as well as hearing more of your commentaries as well.
GG's, Ben. Good luck in future matches.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think you'll do very well. Hot take, but yeah, that was a good match.
Absolutely. So before we wrap here, I just want to talk about the schedule. We've got some more races up and coming tomorrow. We have the Call versus Skyhoppers at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Then at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, we have defending champion London B415 against me. So I get to go up against the defending champion. Then at 11 p.m., we have a double dip. We've got 50% Gaming versus Roy LT, and we have that matchup we've been talking about, I'm Dangerous versus Alden Speedruns. So big slate of races tomorrow. And then we've got a race on Saturday and a race on Sunday. So a lot of Warpless action this weekend, I should say. So be sure to check in for all of those races. And any final words, Dash, before we get rolling?
You just said it. I wanted to talk about the races tomorrow because we've got a lot of them. I'll be commentating some of them. So yeah, I hope to see you guys there and for the rest of the tournament because it's only going to get better.
Get yourself a Super Famicom if you don't have one, or a SNES, or, well, maybe PAL, but just get a Super Famicom. GG, Cosmic.
GG's. Thanks for commentating, guys.
Yep, no problem. That's going to do it. We will catch you all on tomorrow's matches. Have a great evening, everyone.